Hey, what's up, you guys? It's me, Alyssa, and this is Cleat Beat. The NWSL has done it. They have formally submitted an application and all the documents to the U.S. Soccer Federation for a Division II soccer league. Let's get into what that means and what it all looks like and what we can get our little hands on. All right, the report went out to CBS Sports, and it was breaking news all over social media. Everyone was, I think, pretty shocked to hear that the NWSL was filing for a Division Two because, well, we abolished the college draft, so that. And then we got rid of all the trades without consent. So it seemed like we were working towards getting like player concerns and all of that sorted. And then we stopped. I don't know how a Division Two seemed like the next appropriate step, but that's what they did. CBS Sports says, as a global leader in the women's soccer landscape, both on and off the pitch, the NWSL and its member clubs are committed to growing our sport in meaningful ways. The demand for professional soccer has never been higher. We look forward to working to build a strong foundation for future generations of players, officials, and coaches, and ensure the continued advancement of the women's game. Before I get into my thoughts, let's break down a little bit further what this might look like and what they're proposing. It's going to start out with 8 initial clubs, and these names are going to sound very familiar because, big shock, they're already NWSL clubs. So we're going to see Bay FC, Kansas City Current, Orlando Pride, Racing Louisville, North Carolina Courage, Seattle Reign, Gotham FC, and the Washington Spirit have Division Two teams for year one. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that seems fine. When are they going to start? The plan is 2026. Check your watches, everyone. That's next year. They're going to have a 14-game regular season, and the top 4 clubs will qualify for playoffs. They'll also have the opportunity to complete an exhibition games with non-league competition, so I'm assuming Division 1, and any international tournaments that the clubs may qualify for. This is feeling like MLS Next for anyone else. The goal is to launch in 2026, and the goal also is that all NWSL clubs will have a Division Two team by year 4, which is 2030. Again, okay. They're also saying it will help develop rising stars, create development pathways for coaches and refs, and Attacking Third said it's a transitional space between the college game and the professional game. Now listen, I'm all about more soccer opportunities. I am not going to say no to more women's soccer. But the first thing I want to know is, how did we choose these teams? That's a great question. The Seattle Reign seems automatic for me. They're kind of like one of the pillars of the NWSL in my mind. And if you disagree, then this is my show and too bad. Um, but I'm curious about the selection process. I'm also not surprised to see the Spirit there because Michelle King. I mean, talk about one of the most powerful people, not even just women in soccer. I mean, the bankroll is serious there. All right. So I'm curious how we decided these starting teams, and I'm also curious how we decided um, that this is the right move right now, right? So they want to start it for 2026. But we're still having huge issues. What do I mean by huge issues? Okay, so players are not getting supports that they need. There are still lots of players who are out on mental health leaves. There are players who are taking probably family medical leaves of absences, potentially why we haven't seen Mal Swanson in a couple of months. And all of those things are protected. But we're also seeing like big sort of criticisms of the mental health space in the NWSL. And then you get into safe sport and the abuse stuff that's going on in the NWSL. And Safe Sport just fired their CEO because they hired an abuser as an investigator. Um, what are we doing? Why aren't we fixing those issues first? I mean, like, Did anyone want to talk about the issues that happened, I don't know, say at the San Diego Wave? It also brings into question if it's supposed to be a transitional space between the college game and the professional game. What are we going to do with all these 17-year-olds? I mean, the San Diego Wave, sorry guys, it's my home team. What do you want? We have at least 3 17-year-olds that started in our last game. So are they going to stay? Would things and players like Mel Barcenas be no more? Would they automatically go to the Division 2? Would we institute age caps again? I mean, Olivia Moultrie is the reason that we don't have an age cap, because it had to match the MLS, according to her parents, who made a case for it being equitable. And I have already shared my thoughts on kids playing with adults. I think it's weird. I don't think 17-year-olds should be physically up against adults, but I'm not the commissioner. On paper, it sounds like another great opportunity. But what are we guaranteeing with this pathway for coaches and referees? One, we just had a game in the NWSL with 40 fouls. I think that was a league record. And players were frustrated by that. It was Portland players speaking up about how, I think there were 3 PKs in one game, and just like, what are we doing here? How is this like proper officiating? We already have issues in the NWSL with like plus 10 minutes, for extra time. Is that going to be factored in? Are we going to, I don't know, make sure that there's more women in women's sports, or more inclusive to like gender parity and expanding that for like gender nonconforming people and trans people? Like, what are we doing about that? And then the league, sorry, NWSL, kind of transphobic. There's no space for non-binary people. You have to look at Quinn, who left the NWSL to go to the Canadian League. I'm so happy for them. They got that first goal in the Northern Super League history, and that's amazing. But players have been talking about how there is not a space for people who are gender nonconforming and don't fit into that gender binary between the MLS and the NWSL. And it's true. There's no parity there. Are there going to be more women coaches? Currently, there's only 2 coaches in the NWSL that are women. Shout out to Laura Harvey, who's holding it down at Seattle. These are all the sort of things that when I see we're launching a Division 2 league, the excitement is immediately brought with 100 questions. It feels like a money move. It feels like money. It doesn't feel like we're trying to advance players or help them get there or make it to the league, Division 1, whatever that would look like. And who knows what that pathway is actually like, because it was not detailed. There's nowhere for these teams to go. I mean, it's basically like minor league baseball. It's not gonna guarantee that you get into the top division, but you're also not playing professionally. I'm not really sure. With the demand, it feels again like we're looking at a bottom dollar. And you can see it sort of in the way that the San Diego Loyal, right? They were part of the MLS Division 2, and they had nowhere to train and they had nowhere to go, and that was it. And then San Diego FC was created, and there was no sort of flip-flopping overlap. There was nowhere for those players to go, despite like how well the Loyal had done and how well the Loyal was received. And I'm sure that this is a nationwide story, right? Like, people have had this experience over and over again throughout soccer. So what really is going to happen with teams in this division? Is there really growth? How are we going to guarantee that players, coaches, and referees get these opportunities? Are we looking to develop them sort of as academies? Is this a training, a working sort of like building skills league? It feels like it should just be academies. Why aren't we building academies and where there's no promotion, there's no relegation, so they're just gonna sit there? I'm also gonna ask the tough question of, where are these teams gonna play? If you take another look at San Diego, which I know you're tired of hearing about it, we have Snapdragon Stadium. and it is crowded there. We have San Diego State, which kind of technically runs the place because of a bid that they got. So they get the field. They're primary tenants. And then you have SDFC, you have the San Diego Wave, and we recently just kicked out the semi professional rugby team, the Legion. So you have three teams already vying for back to back weekend kind of placement. You add in a Division Two team, which they're saying is going to be happening by 2030. Where will they play? Where will they practice? Are we going to be playing at college stadiums across the US for these teams? Does Audi Field have the time and support? I mean, we've seen these pitches get totally wrecked. Who's going to be taking care of this stuff? The logistics aren't adding up. Let's see what happens, huh? It looks like we have to see what the US Soccer Federation says. Let me know in the comments below if you're excited for a second division, what you think, what you're curious about. And man, the growth of the NWSL from its inception to now has changed so drastically. And I'm not sure if all of it was for the better. That's it for this week's Cleat Beat. See you next week.